Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. Today it's April 21st and I'm working on a new section of the garden. And here it is. This is my old garden spot that I've been getting ready. I'm putting me up some poles and I've got my fence rolled out. I'm recycling some fence from another area. I went ahead and broke this for the final time. I moved my water faucet down on that corner down there. And I'm going to get this fence strung around here to keep the deer out. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular. It's not like it's going to keep cows or something. It just deters them, so it's just got to be kind of halfway hung so that they'll know not to jump in. So I'm going to get after it. And we got part of the fence up, the lower part, almost all the way around. Got a little gap at the corner down to the right down there. But we went ahead and put in a drip line for half the system. Don't have enough valves to finish out the bottom part, but I figured we'd run it for about 4 hours. Let it wet the ground good, and then maybe tomorrow we'll come out and put some corn in and get some winter squash out of the greenhouse put out here. I've taken and I run, this is the next day, I've run the drip system. I run it for about 4 hours yesterday and about 4 hours overnight. And you can kind of see that the ground is moist around it. And as you can see where the drip line was, and I went ahead and made me a little furrow. I'm going to go ahead and plant my corn in here. Plant a pretty good piece of this is sweet corn, and I'll plant a little bit of field corn in here too. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do this a little different than I normally would. As far as normally when I do corn, I just overhead spray it. And of course when you overhead spray it, you have a whole lot of extra weeds and stuff. But I'm doing my drip system this time, but I'm not doing it above ground like normal. I'm going to be doing it in this row. What I'm going to do is I'll take my mixture of chicken litter that I normally use on my rows. Now, if you want to know what this mixture is, it is I'll take a bucket of chicken litter with 2 cups of egg lime. This is just a lime that's been kind of pelletized, so it dissolves real easily, but it doesn't give you a bunch of dust. It's I would say a natural type of material. It's not like it's chemical treated. And then I use some azomite. I'll use half a cup of azomite, 2 cups of the egg lime, half a cup of azomite to a bucket. And now the azomite is a mineral mixture, and you can see there's several different mixtures. The calcium isn't so much of a deal because I add that. It's some of your other basic nutrients, and I had seen where some people used it and it was considerably better. Our soil does get depleted, so any type of minerals we can put back in it are great. But what I'm going to do is, once I get this fertilized, I'm going to put this drip line on here. And now most people recommend putting the drip line with the holes up. Now I always put mine with the holes down, and I do that because the sand is real fine, and I go under the assumption that if I put them faced up, that this fine sand's going to make more of an effort to end up clogging the system. So There might not be any logic to it, and you're welcome to install it whichever way you want. And also, if you want me to do more videos on actually installing the drip system and talk a little bit more about it, I'll be happy to do it. This drip line I'm using is a 8-inch spacing on the emitters, the little drip emitters, and its flow is about 1/4 of a gallon an hour. Now that's based on a 10-pound pressure. Now I run it on a 25-pound pressure, which increases it, and I'm going to say roughly with line loss, it's probably getting about 1/2 gallon an hour. So a couple hours and you get a gallon of water, if you're going to figure it that way. But one reason why I use these lower feed emitters, and that's part of with your drip line, is you want to calculate a certain amount for line loss. And being this line is running about 50 foot from the end down there, and then it comes across here midways and it ties in, you've got a certain amount of line loss that's there too, and then each one of these hoses is going to drop a certain amount, so you don't want to go too long from your main line on there too. It's a lot of calculations to it when you're doing a bigger system. Most of your small gardens, you don't have that problem. But anyway, the seed that I'm going to be putting in is, I got this last year. Travis with Haas Tools had grown a variety like this, and so I picked this one up. It's temptress. It's a sweet corn, and I think it's a quad sweet. It's bicolor, so it's got white and yellow kernels whenever it does it, and it's supposed to be really good. We'll see. Now, when you get with Johnny's Seeds, there's a lot of information on the pack, so you can kind of get an idea. If you don't know how to plant your corn, you can get a lot of information about how to do that. But you want to plant your corn once your soil temperatures warm up. Now, we have had some cold weather, but our soil temperatures ought to be in great shape to do this. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and get after this. Like I say, I'm going to put some fertilizer down in the trench. I'll show you that, and then I'm just going to lay this drip line on top and cover it, and then I'll plant directly on top of that. Okay, I have my chicken manure in here. I'm using about close to 1/2 bucket per row length. It's about 60 feet. Corn is heavy feeders, but I'm not going to do these rows completely with corn. I'm going to take and put some squash in here as a divider so my corn and stuff isn't as close. That and some sweet potatoes out here. And heck, I might even put a few field peas. But what you want to do is turn your drip system on before you bury your line. You want it to be able to inflate in. So you're going to turn the drippers on, make sure it's dripping so it's inflated all the way to the end, and then it's just a matter of coming back and burying it. Now, I'm not burying this very deep. It's enough to keep it where it's not going to be flexing all over. It'll stay in place. It'll water underneath. The roots are just going to take and grow on into this drip line. Whenever you get ready to pull it up, you just have to turn it on, get it good and wet, pull your plants up, and then you can pull your drip line up. It's not the easiest way. Now, I do use a 15 mil drip line, which is the heavier drip line. You don't want to stretch it. You just want to when you put it in, roll it off, be gentle. Don't go tugging on it and stretching it to where you might damage one of the drip emitter connections or something like that and cause you a leak problem. But anyway, I'm going to bury these 4 and plant a little bit of corn, and then see how much more I want to put in here. Okay, I got the these 4 rows buried, and I got them planted down to roughly right here, and it's going to be about a 40-foot row. And I'm going to go ahead and set up some more, but what I'll do in the rest of this distance down here to my drip line is I'll get my winter squash plants over here, make sure I don't get any 2 varieties that will cross-pollinate together. I need to run one more line along this fence, and what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to plant my North Georgia candy roasters. They seem to like to climb the fence, so that would be an ideal place for them. Even though it's a large winter squash, it hangs on fine with the vine because it's got a super healthy vine, kind of like a pumpkin vine, but it'll hang on, and the squash will be just fine hanging in there.